You're a lucky man, sir. You're a lucky man. Like, congratulations for your wife being dead, but you got a lot of blowjobs.
Next comic, give it loud everybody for Anthony Eugenio. We're up next comic. Very funny. Wayne Russell, everybody.
Welcome to the Open Mic Pain with Anthony and Wayne podcast.
Did you hear about this OnlyFans girl that wants to have sex with 1,000 guys in 24 hours?
Yeah, she already did it.
She did 100.
She did 100. Yeah. I didn't. So I saw a X clip where it was right after she banged 100 guys, and she's just like the saddest, soulless eyes I've ever seen.
I said that to Sean. I was like, yeah, you know, she's kind of silly to not be going for 2 world records there. You know, 1,000 guys in 24 hours, and then the longest consecutive crying session.
Yeah. I don't know. So there was a lot of talk about how I saw on X about how sad she was afterwards, and I'm like, 100 guys just came on her eyes. Like, I'm sure that's just like, I'm sure your eyes are gonna look pretty red to that, no matter what happens. Like, I'm sure she's like, you get 100 loads to the eye and see if you don't look like you're crying afterwards. Like, what is she supposed to look pristine?
Yeah, I'm more interested in the behind the scenes thing. You know, I just picture a line of guys just standing outside the door like they're waiting for their welfare checks.
They are.
Like, hey, you're
They
up.
are.
Yeah, that's exactly
Yeah.
what they're doing. Yeah,
It's disgusting. Yeah, they all have Air Jordans too. Every single one of them has a beautiful pair of Air Jordans.
and it's gotta be like doing a show, right? Everyone's just standing around. One guy finishes. They're like, "All right, you're up." Everyone's fist bumping each other.
Yeah, like, oh, I know this guy. He's getting 15 minutes tonight. Only gave me a minute.
I did the math. It's like 1.4 minutes. So I think it's just shy of a minute and a half for each guy if she was to do it in a full 24 hours.
That's insane. No sleeping, nothing. I mean, here's the thing, though. This is what
Nobody
you're not
said she had to be
calculating.
awake.
Yeah, true. But also, you're calculating she's going one guy at a time, and you know that she's going to be getting banged by 20 dudes at a time throughout this. Definitely. She's going to go through blocks of 20. There's no way you can't.
I want to know, are they going to tag these guys like they do sharks? So they know, like, oh, yeah, he was already
good
here.
one.
They got to, like, tag him in the ear and send him off on his way.
And
And
this
that
one
way
went
they
to
can
the
find him
Mariana
when they-
Trench.
That way they can find him when they're like, yeah, guess what? It's terminal.
No, see, they are the cleanest girls you can get. They have
Mhm.
so much testing that they do.
You're talking about porn actresses.
Yeah.
This is just a
Yeah, they
OnlyFans girl. Is she a porn actress?
Yeah. Hell yeah. There's no difference anymore. It's like, what's the difference between a comedian and a TikToker? I don't know. It's the same
Regulations,
thing.
right?
Yep.
I could be
You
I could be a TikTok porn person right now, and nobody is testing me.
Yeah, but she does the real productions. She's definitely getting tested.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of
Trust me,
1,000 other guys? With 1,000 guys? And you know there's more than 1,000 because
yeah.
somebody's going to have performance anxiety.
I know, you gotta have a bench.
You're going to have like a 20% backup. There's going to be 1,200 guys just jiggling their nuts for about 24 hours.
True. Imagine
And what-
being numbered fucking 1,150. Like, just 150 guys got to not want to come in this
So
girl.
let's take out the 1,200 people. Let's go with 1,000 that make the cut.
Mm.
Imagine being number 1,000. I wouldn't want to be like
4.
number 20.
You don't want to be 4. Like, her soul is in heaven after 3 people. Damn. Well, you know what? I don't know what to feel anymore because I feel like in the 90s and below, we would have like intervened on this girl's life and made her not do that. And now I feel like you're supposed to say, more power to you, girl. Rock on.
She would have been living with Joel Osteen, just trying to calm down. just a little bit.
Getting another 1,000 cocks on her if she's living with that guy. That's
Yeah,
for sure.
probably. Probably.
Cabal of cocks.
Did
that's
you
for
ever
sure.
see the? Did you ever see the Twitter account? I'm gonna have to look up the name of it, but the Twitter account took all of Joel Osteen's tweets every time he tweeted something, and every time he said the word God, this Twitter account tweeted the same exact thing, but replaced the word God with dick. It was hilarious.
No, I gotta look that up though. That
Yeah,
is
I'll-
a very funny way that Twitter is caught on. Is the like parody accounts that are so meta? They're like, "Oh, are you a parody of Joel Osteen?" Well, kinda. I just replace every word that he says God with dick, and you're like, "Damn." You're like, yeah, it's a niche market. I'm in it.
Yeah, I'm all
Like there
for
are
it.
people that follow Nancy Pelosi's, stocks, and they make millions.
Yeah, of course they
So
do.
corrupt.
Of course they do.
I know. And then they ask her, they're like, "But you're insider trading," and she's like, "What else am I supposed to get paid doing this shit job?" You're like, "Damn, damn, America's not what it used to be. It used to be that you became a senator because if you didn't, your town would get overrun by vagrants that would murder and kill all the women and children in your town. So like a real hero needed to step up and run it. And now it's just like, how do I get information about stocks before someone else? Because then I got a stupid Gavin Newsom eating at French Laundry outside after banning outdoor dining. Ugh. What a tangent. What are we doing? Oh, this is New Year's
Spitcoin?
episode, Wayne.
Yeah, it is. We're gonna combine the two things real quick before we go further. Spitcoin. Have you heard about? What's her name?
Talk to a girl?
Yeah, Haley Welch.
Yeah, she pulled the rug. Yeah, she
my
rug
God.
pulled.
Oh my God, nobody's heard from her in 2 weeks. That's wild.
Not her. No, she just. It's very funny. People say that she's still sleeping because basically she came out with a meme coin, and a meme coin is something that you use. It's basically the new Somalian pirate, Nigerian prince like scam call. It's like that for dumb people. It's people go, "Oh, this famous person's got a cryptocurrency. I can invest in it, and it will just keep going up forever. And maybe it'll become a global currency. Maybe the girl who talked about spitting on a penis on a TikTok video will have a name that holds so much currency value that it will become on the global diocese." Those people who thought that invested into this chick. And all she was trying to do with her currency via a company that she probably didn't even know what they did because she's a dumbass. They just took 97% of the value of the stock. They gave it by selling it at a premium to insiders, kind of like nodding at them to say like, "Hey, when this goes live, you can rug pull this and make a bunch of extra money because you'll have the stock." And these dumbasses are coming in to buy 3% of the stock, think they're getting 100% access. It's really in the weeds. But anyways, she completely rug pulled. Meaning they sold all of their stock right when it got up to the top, and everybody who invested, all of her fans, they all lost all their money. And then she was getting called out by a investigator called CoffeeZilla, who's on YouTube. Recommend looking him up. Much better than our videos. He goes after people who scam people, and he immediately was on the case. And they did some kind of like X Live where they were like going at it. And she was like, "All right, I'm going to bed. Fuck this." And she left. And she hasn't talked publicly since. And that was like 3 weeks ago. And yeah, people are complaining, "Oh, I lost all my money." But fuck you if you lost your money. You deserve it.
Yeah, I agree. One more thing before we get into the weeds of what this episode is, I wanna thank you for just calling it X and not X, formerly Twitter, as every fucking article I read that mentions X this far out after its name change still says formerly Twitter. That drives me
Yeah,
fucking
I
insane.
don't. It just, I know. The only thing I can't get over is I don't tweet. But if someone does a tweet, I consider it a tweet, but it's not called a tweet anymore. It's like just a post on X, is what you're supposed to say. But
Yeah.
it's nice to say tweet. Remember Tweety the Bird? I've been watching that with my kids because
Tweety Bird?
Sylvester and yeah, what a fucking C word that bird is.
Yeah.
Like, man, it's a cat. he wants to kill you. Why are you egging him on all the time? It's like blue balling that thing all day. So this, all right, can we move on to the
Yeah, we can move
episode?
on.
Nice.
Yeah, I was getting my
are,
get off my lawn thoughts out.
you old piece of garbage.
Yeah.
I called Jacques famous garbage last week. I really thought that was a good burn. That's like, like such a piece of garbage. It's world famous. So we are at the end of the year. This is New Year's, everybody. Happy New Year's. And we wanted to recap the year a bit in the sense of, we talked about it a little bit during the Christmas episode, but more in depth. Where did we start the year? What happened in between that are our big highlights? And then what are we looking forward to in 2025? So, Wayne, you mentioned in the last episode, but what was your first gig this year? What was it like?
So the first gig was my first actual booked gig that somebody offered me, which was Delusional offered me a show at Off the Hook in Quincy. It was a showcase. I know Andrew Boyle was on it, Uzair Malik, myself, Jeff Lab or Laby, and I think there was one other person. But it was cool, man. It was if you go back and listen around that time, we were talking about it was supposed to be a clean show, and I was nervous because I have some things that aren't necessarily grotesque or dirty, but I wanted to make sure that oral sex was okay versus fellatio or whatever, you know what I mean? And I spent a lot of time really thinking about that, where now I wouldn't. But yeah, I mean that was where it all started for me in 2024 in terms of comedy. And you were right there as well, right?
Yeah, I was there. I went to that show, and a couple days before, I did my first paid. Is it my first paid gig? Yeah, I think I.
Well, technically, you had the paid. It would have been paid up in Portland or Old Orchard Beach or something like that.
Oh yeah,
but you didn't take the money.
I could not take the money for that. No, that could have been my first paid gig, but that would have been the least deserved amount of money that anybody had ever gotten for anything. Like fucking Joe Biden's son in Ukraine deserved that money more than I would have deserved getting paid for that show. Yeah, no, that was so the first time Delusional gave me shows opening for Casey Crawford, and Nick Taco was on the show. First time I worked with him. A beast I learned he was. That was really cool. That was got a taste of a real headliner show right away. It was a not sold out room, but close to. All the jokes went well. Didn't expect them to. What's really funny is looking back on that is it was to do 10 minutes. And I remember holding my set list and be like, Wayne, this is 10 minutes. How the fuck am I going to remember 10 minutes? Like, it was a big deal. Like, you were like, oh, fuck, you should bring your notes up with you. This is going to be tough. Because it was like, literally, it's like doing 2 sets out how we normally did it with open mics. But no, that was cool. We worked with Casey a couple more times after that. Did a lot more shows. But yeah.
Had him on the podcast. It was a great episode.
Had him on the podcast. It's been a hell of a year for comedy.
Yeah, sure has.
The world sucks in general, but comedy's been good.
It has. It has. It's been a crazy trajectory for us. Just in terms of people we've met, people we've done the podcast with, the ability to get shows that we've gotten, which we have no business at getting these opportunities. I'm not saying we're not fit to take them. Just saying we have no business getting these opportunities this early on. And I think we've both done a good job at taking those opportunities, that bull by the horn, and making the most of them.
Yeah, it's been. I think getting gear was a big part of that I don't give credit to in my mind. I'm like, they booked me because I'm fucking awesome. And then I realized, like, yeah, in the beginning, being able to get gear and offer it to shows get you in a lot of doors. And then you got to be able to, take it and get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to back it up. But it does open some doors. So that's a good tip to people. If you feel like you've been doing this for a long time and you're not getting in with the bookers yet, it's just a simple PA system is such an easy way to run a show for them, show them you're a responsible human being, and then you can work your way up. Like now, I get to feature a lot on Mike K shows, and that was just from working up from open mic in front of them to do it. So, that's definitely the key, and I got to work with them a lot more because I was like, hey, I have a PA, so you got to show that you need it. So that's key too. Got a PA this year, and Spotlight, all kinds of stuff too, so we can run our own OMP shows. One, but two, it made us a lot more versatile out in the world. It gave us opportunities before we deserved them.
Another key component to getting those, like you said, was running our own shows, which we did 2 this year. We did our first one was a private show, huge success, oversold out. They sold more tickets than they had shares. People had to bring their own shares, which is insane. We had Carolyn Plummer as the headliner, Jacques and Justin there, along with Beautiful Dan and Xtina, and myself. That was incredible, and that was great. To kind of piggyback off that, we did a bunch of contests this year as well. And if you had told me in March of 2023 that we were going to get picked for a contest, I would have been like, yeah, okay. But we both placed in contests. I placed in the delusional contest along with the Merrimack Valley Funniest Person contest, and you placed second in the South Shore Comedy Clash, which got you to the opportunity to open for Steve Sweeney the night of our first OMP show.
Yeah, I know. I had to miss our first OMP show, which was sad. But a couple times because of that contest, I got to open for Steve Sweeney, and that was really cool. That was the highlight of my year, I think. Not just doing the show, but it was the most surreal moment of comedy I've had so far because I heard Adam Sandler and Joe Rogan were talking on a podcast, and then I know I've told this before, but it's a recap show. Fuck you. And they were talking on Rogan's podcast, and they forgot which one. They're both from Boston and originally doing stand-up. So they were talking about doing Nick's Comedy Stop and all these rooms that we were doing, and that was kind of cool. But Rogan asked, like, what was the hardest gigs you did back then? And they both agreed that the hardest gig they did was opening for Lenny Clark or Steve Sweeney because you would open for them, but when you got there, they tell you that they're going up first, go up to 20 minutes, then bring you up, then watch you fail, then heckle you. And I was like, man, that does sound like a nightmare. And that weekend, the podcast came out that Adam Sandler was on. I was with Steve Sweeney, and he did that to me. And I remember he did it. And as it was happening, I was like, oh, this is it. This is what they were talking about. Holy shit. I was like, why did they think this is so bad? This is such a cool feeling. And then I realized that it sucks because everybody's there to see Steve. And you become the commercial break to a Steve Sweeney show. That's really all you are. He goes up for 20 minutes. You go up for 10. Then he goes up again for 15. Then someone else goes up for 10. Then he goes up for another 15. So he's basically that's the TV show. And you have to endure the commercial breaks of the other comedians in between. So there's just no way to do good. Like you could do fine, but there's no way to kill. Like it's his room. And so I get what they mean by that. Where you're like, man, I could see expecting to do really good in front of a nice crowd and then realize that, they're just looking through you. Like, when's Steve coming back? And that was really cool. That was my favorite moment in comedy so far, just to have that, right after hearing it from two legends like that.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. I'm trying to think what my pinnacle of my year would be. I had so many really cool moments. Being able to perform at Wicked Funny 3 nights in a row was awesome. That was really cool.
That was awesome.
Getting to go down and open for Dan Crone was pretty cool. Going down to the Cape. Kind of felt the, obviously it's not road comic, but that the beginnings of it, like you get a hotel room overnight, do your show, go home.
Yeah, I've been to Connecticut cool 4 times this year. It's been fucking feels like a road comic.
Yeah. we still have a little bit of time before the end of the year. We both have our New Year shows, which we can get to, because I think that's a cool way to cap off.
It's tomorrow,
2024.
baby. It's
It will be
tomorrow.
tomorrow. Yeah, it is
You gotta
tomorrow.
come to our goddamn New Year shows. Wayne's in the Cape, and I'm at Margaritaville,
Nope.
and I'm at the
I'm at
DoubleTree.
Margaritaville.
That's what I said. I said Wayne's
Oh, I
at
think you said I'm
Margaritaville.
at Margaritaville.
No,
My
I did.
Apologies. No, I thought you said I am. As if
I
was
know. I'm
talking-
doing
yeah.
a who's on first. You dumb fucking.
Yeah,
So,
so I'm at Margaritaville, Hyannis, on the Cape with Carolyn Plummer, Carlos Z, friend of the show, huge piece of shit, and Paul Corwin.
Yep.
Where are you?
Now-
I'm sorry.
I'm in Andover at the DoubleTree. I am with a double headliner show of Justin Hoff and Matt P. Brown, who are just so handsome. And I'll be feature, and Zach Morin will be opener, and we're going to blow the place down. Now,
Yeah.
here's a topic I want to hit on before we close this bitch out is what was the worst moment of your year? Because you had every booked show that you've had ever has been this year. So what was we've talked about kind of the highs. What's the low?
That's a great question. I have a couple that I look back on that are not great. So one, the South Shore Comedy Clash. I wouldn't say it's the worst, but I was so confident. That was a learning lesson for me. I was so confident during that, and I went up and I fucked up a line in my closer, which I've never fucked up before and haven't since, which caused me to fuck up another line. That's a blemish on my year that I think about quite often, is that I got so confident, I got out of my own head, and it caused me to stumble and just bleh. Probably, I mean, I guess it would be my big fail with the show with you, Mike, and Steve. I mean, that was probably the worst night. The worst I felt after a show was that night, I think.
Explain it for the people again.
Yeah, it was just, it was in a Polish American club in Nashua. Mike goes up, he's host, he does a few things. Crowd wasn't really having him. It wasn't horrible. They weren't really having him, and he kind of gave me the heads up when I was like, "Yeah, it's gonna be rough." I was like, "All right." I went up, and at that time, my opener, the pronouns joke, was always getting at least a decent chuckle, and it was complete silence. And from that moment on, I let it get to me, and I kind of phoned it in for the rest. So it was definitely my fault, 100% my fault. I feel like if I went back and did that today, it wasn't even that long ago, I think I could have done it a lot differently, and I think I could have had a successful night. So I think that was my biggest faux pas.
That was, it's funny because that I take back what was my pinnacle. That was my pinnacle the year. It made me so, because I was there and I was going right after you, and you did the Jacques thing to me where I'm just about to walk up and you distract me, and I'm like, I literally about to walk up, you're like, oh man, what's nice though? At least you're gonna bomb, and there's no pressure now. You're gonna eat shit. And I was like, damn, dude. It's like I'm about to walk up. Holy shit.
Yeah.
And then you walk through the back doors and you were like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and it was a guy that was in the room. He stepped out to take a phone call, and he's like, "Yeah, I get it. No, that was horrible."
That's funny. So year one in comedy, I know what it was. It was forgetting my set at the safe and having to drag the stool over. What a time. That was fun. Still think about that every day. I remember wanting to throw away comedy after that. That was the worst. This year, I think the worst feeling I had on stage was earlier in the year. One of the first book gigs I got was at a place called Thirsty Robot. You did some time on that show, 5 minutes.
I did, yeah.
And I had to host it. And it was a free show with, I mean, that would be the biggest. That was like there was 200 people there, wasn't there? Something like that. I feel like that was huge.
There was a lot of people there. I don't know if it was 200. There was definitely over 100.
So over 100 people, maybe close to 200 people in my exaggerating brain, and we had one 13 or 12-inch stick PA is what we got.
Yep.
And it was at the other side of the room, and everybody was talking, and the PA was just not for loud enough for that room. It wasn't even close to loud enough for the room. And I had to host it. And I just remember screaming into the microphone to try to get people's attention. My jokes, I'm like yelling them. If you talked into it, no one would hear you. So you had to scream into the microphone. And I had a couple jokes do okay, but I just remember like, this sucks. That's in my head the whole time. This fucking sucks. I'm never doing this again. I remember saying afterwards, I bought a PA right after that. I was like,
Yeah,
never
you did.
again.
Yeah,
I
that was- yeah.
was like, I'll have my own in the car if this happens, and I'll just put mine in.
Yeah.
Because I will not allow this to. It was because there were so many things that bothered me about that. It was like where we set up the thing was dumb. We should have set up in the middle of the room. That way the PA could have hit both sides of it instead of being on the opposite end of it. Why is the show free? All these kind of things that just made it such a dumb night. But also then to have the hardest spot of the hardest, maybe tied with going after me, bombing my ass off, and then having to go first. And then also, I think the first comic had a rough time.
I want to take it back. That might have been the pinnacle of my year, because my dad just showed up to that for some reason. He was standing off to the side, and I did the joke about my mom's throat cancer and the implications of oral sex and that and all. And we recorded it, and during my video, after I do that, it was found out that was my dad. Because I think I threw a line in there. I was like, "Was it worth it, Dad?" And and some lady's like, "Oh my God, that's his father!" And a guy walked up to him and was like, "You're a lucky man, sir. You're a lucky man. Like, congratulations for your wife being dead, but you got a lot of blowjobs." I was like, I love that video. I don't think I have that anymore, but that was great.
I was standing behind your dad, and I saw you go over, and your dad like gave you like a little hug, and he went, "Your mom would love that joke," and you could just hear me like.
I heard you.
That was one of the funniest things I ever heard.
So my mom had my sense, like, I get my sense of humor a lot from my mom, so she definitely, I think, would have found that funny. But I don't know if he was saying that just to kind of let me know that it's okay.
He was like, "Your mom blew me all the time, son." We made jokes about it all the time. Yeah. Well, yeah, that did suck. Honorable mention for me was honorable mention shitty time was definitely Connecticut the first time I went there. God damn, that was tough. It was just a gig in Connecticut where I drove all the way there for borderline food, and everybody got menus when they walked in to sit down. The person came over like, "All right, I gave him the menus. You want to go start the show?" And I'm like, "What?" And so I go up, they're reading their menus for the first time, trying to decide what to eat, and then ordering their food just during my set. That was what my set was. My set was watching them do that. That's it. And I've never had to do that before, where I'm just staring at a sea of the most distracted people that could be, and they have to be, because it's the waitresses walk around like, "What do you want, huh?" And I remember one person in the middle of California Sober, like right in the center of me getting into my set, they're ordering their drink. And I had to stop and go, "Oh, I'll wait." And then wait for the whole table to order drinks because they're right in front of me. And you could hear them on the microphone. So I had to stop. And then they were done. I was like, "Okay." So, yeah, my wife's a whore. I don't know. What am I saying? And just like,
That's awesome.
and it was the reason why it wasn't the worst was because like I knew what was happening while it was happening. I was still getting some laughs. I just didn't. I wasn't doing good. I was just doing okay. Like I wasn't really getting them up. It was just an impossible show. So that one was what it was. The fucking
It was
one
impossible for you.
Yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't impossible for Mike went up and crushed. But they had already eaten by then. They were all happy. Like, God, you fucking everybody eat, then bring you up. Like New Year's show we're doing. You're gonna get food, and then you're gonna see me.
Yep.
You're not gonna fucking see me while you're eating. Get the food out of your mouth. This isn't the Comedy Cellar or Kowloon's. I remember actually when I went to the Comedy Cellar, this is a rookie mistake while I was out there. It's either a 2-drink minimum or a 1-drink minimum, whatever it was, or you got to buy food off of their like 3 menu, and like they had like buffalo wings, quesadilla, or fries. Like that was the 3 things you got. And I was like, oh, I don't really drink. I was like, I guess I'll take some buffalo wings. And I realized that it's such a cramped little space. Say it's 150 people in there total, and it's like crammed. And I'm sitting there with like fucking vinegary wings that are all around there. I was like, what a dumb. And like someone would make a joke, and I'd be like, yeah, food's not good for comedy. I know it's good for the club, but it's just not good for comedy. Man, I would never allow, if I had a club, I don't think I can do food. I don't think I would allow it. Have food next door.
I never thought about this per se, but food is like really bad because if somebody's eating and they're chewing food, they're not laughing. They don't, and you're not getting that. And then and one of the things that makes people laughter is contagious. You hear people belly laughing, you're gonna laugh as well, and it's kind of like a wave. So yeah, you're right. That is not conducive.
No, it sucks, and you know it's a big staple at a lot of places because a lot of good rooms are function halls off of restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
And because even Wicked Funny, you know, they do it awesome because they serve the food before. They don't serve food during.
Yep.
But you know that place wants to serve food. That's the whole point of it. It's a restaurant. So it is a fine line because we are trying to give an experience to people. So you want them to be able to, like, if a perfect world is you can eat and then see a show, it's nice to give that experience to people. But man, does it make it harder to gather their attention.
Yep.
I talked about what I have a friend of mine who's a musician and he plays a ton of shows, and we were talking about like the dichotomy between comedy and music for crowd, because I was telling him like, oh man, one of the best things you can get is a crowd that's completely silent. Like if you hear nothing during your setups, that's good. They're engaged, and then you'll get them to laugh with your punchlines. He's like, man, if you ever hear a pin drop silence at a music show, you have fucked up. You've done the wrong thing. So it's cool because we're obviously really comfortable in that. Like I forgot which, it was one recently that I did really well in. It was actually a Connecticut show. I rebounded. Did a private gig in Connecticut a couple weeks ago with handsome Jacques Lambert, famous garbage. And I remember during one of my setups, it was like over 100 people in the room, and you can hear pin drop. They were just, everybody was listening. I was like, that's the best. It sucks when you're doing your setup and you hear people talking in the back or something like that.
That was some of the best secondhand advice that I think we got. Was Carolyn Plummer talking about the advice she got from Bob Marley, where he's like, "Why are you talking through the silence? That means you have their attention. You know, kind of enjoy it. You know." And I think about that quite a bit when I'm on stage now.
Builds tension too. If you just let the silence creep, and keep creeping, you can feel people get uncomfortable. And the second, it's so like you don't think about it, but people being uncomfortable is key to comedy. That's really what you're trying to do. So you're trying to put someone in an uncomfortable place and then show them that everything's going to be okay. And that even physically manifests in comedy, where the best comedy clubs are when you're crammed into people and you can't see. You know, everything's dark and you're really close to people. Those are the best shows. You get lost in it.
Yep.
And it's different than like if you go to Chunky's to watch a movie, you want to be far away from people in the back with those big comfy chairs. And you want to see as much of around you as you can because you're eating at the same time. And if you want to do that same place with a comedy show, you want to push all the tables together. You want to make the ceiling as low as you can, and you want to make it as dark as you can. And I like that. I like the taking someone into somewhere where they're not comfortable and bringing them back on the other end laughing.
Yeah, it's a cool feeling.
All right, so let's wrap this up with talking about what we want to do in 2025. What's the goal?
Yeah, so I have a couple things. One on the OMP side, I would like to do more OMP shows. Obviously, it's tough. We're both getting. We're not going to have as much time, but I would like to do maybe double it. Maybe do 4 this year. 1 a quarter. See how it goes. So the first two were so successful; they were a lot of fun, a lot of work, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I agree.
Um,
One a
I
quarter
think
would
that'd be
nice.
cool. But personally, I have a list of comedy related goals that I'm going to work towards this year. One of them is I need to put more time and I need to make more time to write. You know, between work and kid, dogs, wife, all that shit. It's easy to get home and go, I'm pretty tired. I'm not going to write tonight. I'm going to force myself to sit down for 15 minutes at least a day.
It sounds
With nothing
familiar. Was
going
this
on
your
around me.
last year's goal?
What's that?
Was this your last year's goal? It sounds
I did try.
familiar.
I did try. It was last year's goal, and I did fail at it. I did a lot more writing than I, on average.
Fail,
but-
fail, fail.
Yeah, I didn't keep up with the one a day. I got about a month and a half last year every day, but shit started getting busy. No excuses, but
Excuses, as he gives one. I wanted to have 20 minutes, and I did it.
Yep.
So
yeah, that was one of
now,
mine as well.
so now I want to have 35. If I can, by the end of next year, get to 35 of strong minutes, which should, if the math is there, should be able to do it. Then I think at 35, things open a bit more, where you can legitimately headline a room. Not in the sense of drawing or good or any of that. I just mean like physically, you can do the act of being on there
Yeah.
long enough to do that. So that'd be cool, because I know that once I can do that, I'll get an opportunity to at least try it and see what it's like.
Yep.
And that'll be a big step. That's the next big step that we're going to start zeroing in on.
Yep.
I'm excited for your first 20 minutes set coming up.
Second, but yeah.
You know?
Yeah, our show.
Which
I
first
did, I did like 19.
Yeah, I'm sorry. One that someone booked you on as a feature, not one that we
Yeah,
booked ourselves.
Still, I did it. Yeah, no, it was gonna be fun. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm pumped too. So, yeah, your goal is to suck less. My goal is to suck less. That's usually what we're at. Anything else that you want to talk about before we end this sucker?
No, I mean definitely. If you're in the area of Hyannis, come check out my show on New Year's Eve. If you're in Andover, go check out Anthony's. If you're in neither of those places, go
Fuck
on
yourself.
Facebook. Look around. I mean, Mike has 3 other shows going on: Pembroke and a couple in Rhode Island, I think, or Connecticut. Go on mikedupcomedy.com. Go to Scamps. Go to all those places and just see what's going on and just go support comedy, because the more comedy that is supported, the more we're going to have the opportunity to do it.
And then you can go on Pornhub right after that, and you can look up that girl there that wants to set the Guinness record for banging all those dudes. Any women? Does it have to be men? Does it have to be 1,000 men? Or could she do 500 men? Does it matter? Because you
That's
got
a
to
very
think it'd be
good
a lot
question.
easier to do the women, right?
Are there multiple
Holy
categories for the 1,000?
Yeah, like, it's like, yeah, you might be the first person to bang 1,000 guys in one night, but I banged 2,000 pigs.
That's something that a guy could never do. I don't think a guy could ever bang 1,000 women. Like, you have a refractory period. Who can last that long?
Well, what if it's just you don't have to go to completion? You know what I mean? In, out, in, out, in, out. Then you could do
1,000? Do you last 1,000 pumps, Anthony?
Yeah, no, but you were saying like it's gonna be seamless pumps. These are not gonna be seamless pumps. These are gonna be seamed so bad. They're gonna be like fucking sewed in with big thick line, because you're gonna have to like in, out. There's cameras. There's lights. There's one girl in, one girl out. Hi, what's your name? My name's Debbie. All right, Debbie, bend over. And it's just there's no chance to build it up like that. I don't think.
I don't know. I don't know.
I wonder
So,
what
other
you
than
eat
that,
in the middle of that day. Like
do you
1,000
eat?
guys. I'm not.
You
I'm
eat
not
nothing.
Done. Yeah. You got come on. You gotta have a croissant.
No, you got nothing.
Something. Damn.
You eat nothing for like a week. There's such a time constraint. You don't have time to go take a shit.
This is like Joey Chestnut during when he takes down like 1,000 hot dogs.
She's
It's
gonna
like, I
be doing
don't
the
eat
same
for
thing.
days. She's doing the exact same thing. She did have the same tears in her eyes afterwards too that the Joey Chestnut has. All right, hey everybody that listens, it's been a year that we'll never forget. And stop listening, you stupid pieces of shit. This is such a waste of your time. Bye. Hi, what's your name? My name's Debbie. All right, Debbie, bend over.